Hi guys, this is Jason Bodine coming at you once again from Gadsden, Alabama. Welcome to my channel. Yesterday afternoon, or I guess the day before yesterday as you're watching this, I refreshed my YouTube homepage after an enjoyable day of watching a YouTuber reaction to episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, only to see the name Charlie Kirk trending at the top of my screen. And as I clicked on that link and started watching videos to find out why, my mood very quickly darkened from the happy mood I had been in as I realized what had happened. Charlie Kirk, the conservative activist, founder of Turning Point USA, podcaster, husband, and father of two little kids who had made a name for himself by discussing and debating ideas with people who disagreed with him on college campuses all over the country, had been assassinated, and the killer was still at large. Then I started watching reactions to that news from the media, from Congress, and from my fellow Americans on both sides of the political spectrum. And my mood went from sadness to anger as I realized the deeper implications of what had just happened. A new American Civil War had just started, and the assassination of Charlie Kirk was that war's Fort Sumter. It's not a physical war this time, though. Although it's clear that one side of that war would like for it to be, or this would not have happened. There will be no clashing of armies in the streets. This time it's a clash of ideologies, but not between the left wing and the right wing, or between Democrat and Republican, or communism and capitalism, or even religion and secularism, but of something more fundamental that transcends all of those things. This is a war between good and evil, ladies and gentlemen. This time, the battle lines aren't being drawn on a map, but on the United States Constitution itself. And the cause goes far beyond mere freedom and liberty. This is a war for the soul of our nation and the very humanity of its people. Now, if that sounds melodramatic to you, just take a look at these clips from the day of the shooting. First up, we had this human cesspool, Matthew Dowd, on MSNBC, being the first among several journalists to engage in victim blaming of Charlie Kirk, blaming him for what happened to it.
But following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's...
Next, here are the Democrats in Congress refusing to have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk and his family.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from Colorado rise?
And these vile little ghouls are American citizens, although I use that term loosely, celebrating the assassination.
Yes, he deserves to die, and I hope he burns in hell.
Now, on the other side, Fox's Greg Gutfeld had this to say.
It's really hard to radicalize Republicans.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we're not the radical type. But if you thought that you were going to shut a movement down, you're going to get a rude awakening. You woke us the fuck up.
And some YouTube podcasters echoed his sentiments.
It's, you know, when we were talking about assassinations earlier, whether it's Kennedy or RFK or, you know, you think of him in the past. You think of him like, you don't, when something happens in the current, like right now with this one with Charlie Kirk, it doesn't seem real.
No.
It seems very surreal.
It does.
And then the rest of the country spoke out.
I felt like I was the only one feeling the weight of what happened, and I was seeking others that felt the same and wanting to help lift others up and find a way to serve others that might be feeling the same way. The biggest impact that he had for me was his tie to faith and his respectfulness to other people. And I do think that people that relate to him also can see friends or family and be respectful in differing opinions.
He's a human being, and I do believe that every human being has a right to say what they want to say. You know, that's what America's built upon is free speech. He also helped my wife a lot through her college, through the scholarships that Turning Point USA offers. We had just finished a work meeting, and we were eating lunch, and one of my coworkers was like, "Hey, Charlie Kirk got shot." And I was like, "Charlie Kirk got shot in Utah?" It was pretty shocking. You know, you don't really associate that with Utah. He's just been all over the country to so many cities, even, you know, other parts of the world.
Now, love him or hate him, agree with him or disagree with him, Charlie Kirk was in many ways a living, breathing avatar of our Constitution's First Amendment. He practiced his freedom of religion, and his Turning Point USA events embodied its other precepts: freedom of assembly, and more importantly, freedom of speech through the free and open exchange of ideas. With one shot, this little turd of a human being, who as of the making of this video still has not been apprehended. Hi guys, Jason coming at you from Post Edit to interrupt my own video because thanks to the diligent work of the FBI and Utah police officers, there is an update in this story. The suspect has been caught and identified. He is 22-year-old Tyler Robinson of the state of Utah. There's a lot of stuff going on around about him right now. A lot of it's unverified, so I'm not going to go into any of that. But I wanted to let y'all know he has been caught. Now, let's get back to the rest of the video. Symbolically attacked the First Amendment in the most vile, evil way possible. And in doing so, he ignited an ideological civil war. And while one side has united across racial, economic, and even political lines against that attack and everything it stands for, the other side has used that attack on the First Amendment to launch another attack on the Second.
I mean, people can finger point all they want. Look at the record. Look at the actions of what we are doing. I don't think a single person who has dedicated their entire career to preventing gun safety legislation from getting passed in this House has any right to blame anybody else but themselves for what is happening.
It's disgusting, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. Well, that's about all I have for this video. If you liked what I had to say, please be sure to like this video and share it and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you for the next one. Until next time, guys. Peace.